Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from. Again, welcome to a brand new season of the Hard Zone. On the Hard Zone, we try to keep our conversation free from any bias, and just by way of disclaimer, all of the opinions and positions that will be offered on this network and this podcast tonight is not the official position of the network, but that of the individual panelists that will be offering them.
Having 4 people on the back of a taxi driver, you want to compare it with 6 people on the back of a motorcycle? Come on, bro, Sharif.
Donald Trump was a former president. His words are very powerful. You can't just accuse an entire community like that. It's wrong.
Listen, Walker, I was one of those people that he actually told me face to face in his home that I would declare my asset. I would make sure my officials declare their asset. On today's date, something as simple as that has not been done.
We are working. We are not going to allow this structure to have the opportunity for 6 years. And they never did anything besides stealing the Liberian people money.
We got to be honest here. This old man is one of the incompetent old men that I have ever seen.
We need to have someone who has the educational background as well as the field experience to be able to provide oversight.
All of what Kamala is promising now, the last 4 years, why haven't they done anything? She and Joe Biden.
Look, church leaders, if Liberia will be better, you must play your role.
It is too early to criticize Walker because it is the formation stage.
Again, I'm your host. My name is Derek Yale, and let's get started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek Yale. I will be playing host tonight for episode 2 of season 7 of the Hard Zone. If this is your first time joining us, let me say welcome. And by way of introduction, the Liberia Radio and Television Network is a local media institution right here in Northeast Philadelphia. And we also have our office open for business in Liberia. You can check us out on Facebook at LRTN Live and on YouTube, the Liberia Radio and Television Network, and also on Instagram. And also we have our website where we publish our daily news from Liberia and the diaspora at the LRTN.net. So make sure you check us out on those on our website to get information on the daily happenings in Liberia and the diaspora. Tonight, the Liberia Radio and Television Network is proud to present another episode 2 of season 7 of The Hard Zone. If this is your first time here, The Hard Zone is an opinion-based talk show where we feature a team of panelists from different political institutions, different political persuasions. And here on The Hard Zone, we focus on issues in Liberia and the diaspora. And of course, the Hard Zone, there is no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk. My name is Derek Yale. I will be playing host tonight. Again, before I go any further, let me ask all of you watching us now to please do us a favor. Make sure you share this program on your individual social media pages, and that is on Facebook and Instagram. And make sure you can also share our podcast on YouTube as well, because we'll be live streaming there as well. On tonight's episode, just to give you a heads up on what to expect, we have our current events where we will be looking at issues, breaking news in Liberia, and we have our current event from the diaspora. After that, we will introduce our panelists for this episode, and then we'll introduce our different topics that we will be having our discussions surrounding those. And also, we will we'll do a couple of breaks, and then after our last break, we will ask our panelists to give you the closing remarks, and then we will get right into the show. With that being said, and before I get into our current event, let me please ask all of you watching us again to please make sure you're sharing this program And make sure you're following us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And this is the Hot Zone episode 2 of season 7. Let me get right into our current event. We have this news broke up last week. Prince Johnson, 72, warlord who executed former Liberia's President Samuel Kanyando, died last week. And after his death, while the people of Nimba has been mourning the death of their senator, a lot of Liberians have been like in a celebratory mood. And there has also been a lot of controversy surrounding his death. On to next episode, we'll ask our panelists to give you their position and reactions on that development. Moving on, in Africa, the people of Namibia elected Nandi Naitwa as the country's first female president. Netumbo Nandi Naitwa, 72, won with 57% of the vote, flooding prediction that she might be forced into a runoff. So Namibia just elected their very first female president. For more on that development, make sure you check out Al Jazeera news website for more on that development. And also here in the U.S., we saw President Joe Biden is currently in Angola, Africa, to meet with some African leaders on some rural projects and what have you. And speaking of President Joe Biden, on Thanksgiving this year, we saw that President Joe Biden pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, and that has also bring a lot of controversy around that. We will get into that and other things on the show tonight, but as it is now, and before I invite my panelists to the screen, let me urge all of you once again to please share this program on your social media page, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. And stay with us. We have another hour and change of exciting discussions surrounding Liberia and the diaspora. With that being said, let me introduce the panelists for this episode. Thank you so much. I have here Bishop Hager, Councilor Freeman, Mr. Bodak, and Mr. Philip E.P. Woods II. I'm getting a feedback. Thank you. Bishop Hager, let me start with you. Welcome to episode 2 of season 7 of the Hot Zone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Philip E.P. Woods II, welcome to episode 2 of season 7 of the Hot Zone.
Thank you ever so much for the opportunity. This is my first time on your platform. I'm highly honored to be among these distinguished gentlemen.
It's a pleasure to have you as well, Mr. Woods. Mr. Martin Boda, welcome to another episode. Mr. Boda, can you hear me? We'll come back to you. Councilor Freeman, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
Mr. Boda, thank you, Mr. Freeman, Councilor Freeman. It's a pleasure to have you as well. Mr. Boda, can you hear me? Oh. Well, anyways, guys, you listen to our event we have here. And before we get into our main discussion, let me urge all of you watching us to please make sure you're following us. I can't tell if Mr. Boda hearing me or not. I really want to hear from him.
We are getting feedback from your side.
My side?
We are getting feedback from your side. My side?
How is it now?
It's okay now.
How is it now?
It's okay now.
Okay. Let me see. Is it better?
It's still repeating. You still repeating.
What about now?
Yeah, I don't know why.
We can't hear you because your microphone volume is low.
Is it better now?
What?
Well, let's take a
Yeah.
break. Real quick. Let me sort this out.
Okay.
Right.
Welcome to your new home away from home in the heart of Margibi County, Liberia. This privately owned guest house located at Disco Hill provides a spacious home for vacation rentals, including 3 comfortably decorated bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. Here, we aim to meet the need of every one of our guests. Do you plan on hosting a meeting? Invite your team to our expansive lounging area, which is perfect for conferences. Let our attentive staff help you celebrate life's biggest moments with your loved ones in our spacious indoor and outdoor event area with chairs, tables, and all your event needs. Whether you're visiting home from abroad or right here in Liberia, we're ready to take your call. Welcome home. Call us now to book your reservation at your new home away from home. Maintaining your vehicle can be a major investment. That's why here at Brothers Auto Care, we pride ourselves on providing professional and reliable auto care at affordable rates. Whether you need an inspection, new brakes, or diagnostic reports, our skillful and experienced mechanics are here for you every step of the way. Call Brothers Auto Care now to schedule your next auto maintenance and repair service. At Brothers Auto Care, we help you drive home with peace of mind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for that. Does anyone have another device that they're watching the show on? Because I've checked everything here. Because I'm still hearing myself. All right, let's see. How is it now? Is it better? Yeah, so it's for one of you guys' device. So let me mute one person at a time and see who is coming from. Mr. Boda, can you hear me? Councilor Freeman, can you hear me?
I hear you clearly.
Thank you. Mr. Woods, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
So it's probably from Mr. Boda. Bishop Hager. Sanchez, can you hear me?
Well, see, I'm hearing you, but they repeat. Philip, you get what look at Philip. You feel it, let's see.
I think it's coming from you, Bishop Hager. You want to go out and come back in? Because I turn everybody on mute, and then when that's why I get the loop. Thank you. Anyway, guys, if you're watching us, sorry for that little inconvenience from the technical difficulty that we're having here. But you listen to our current events. We have a lot to talk about here in the U.S. President Joe Biden pardoning his son, and also in Liberia, the death of Prince Johnson, and also in Namibia, electing their very first female president. With that, Mr. Woods, Councilor Freeman, I would like to be on open court. Those are the discussions we have, but I'd like to take your introduction on those discussions before we get into what we actually have planned to discuss.
Give them a minute to come back in. They're trooping back in.
Mr. Boda. Bishop Hager, you can hear me, right?
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Let's just give the other panelists a few minutes to figure it out. Mr. Buddha was fine in the waiting room.
Oh, waiting. Counselor, can I get your number? My phone has some major problem. All my contact is eliminated.
So you want to do on live?
Are we on live now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right, sorry. I thought I was waiting for the other people. I'm sorry.
We're waiting, but we're still on live.
Yeah, okay.
I'll give it to you later, sir.
All right, no problem.
While we were waiting for the other to join, Bishop Hagar, let me just pick your brain. What do you think about let's stay in the US here. President Joe Biden pardoning his son, or Hunter's Biden. What is your take on that?
What is, for me, is an issue of morality and compassion. Hunter have been struggling with drug issue. Some of the mistakes he made them because of his substance abuse challenges he have. I really believe nobody want to have their children in that kind of situation. They make mistake. And look at the charges for which they want this man to go to prison for more than 10 years. Because he made mistake on his application. He did not declare that he was on substance abuse. So he may allow on his application to carry gun. And then they also said that he made some inaccuracy on his tax paper. I believe the Lord is the Lord and everybody should face the consequences. But looking at the contribution of the Biden family, his elder brother fought for America. This family have been very much contributing towards this nation development. So I don't think, in my own opinion, I don't think considering and putting everything together when other people are saying we're going to persecute people, we're going to do this, that I will leave my son in the hand of Jacquard who can't consume him. I'm not going to do it. If I have to do it, I have to do it now. This is the time. Yes.
Thank you very much. You know, you said quite a few interesting things. You talk about morality. You talk about the Biden's family contribution. And I think it's interesting. I'll come back to you, but let me hear from Mr. Wood and Councilor Freeman, and then I'll come back to you with more questions.
Well, the situation with Mr. Biden is obvious. The crimes he might have committed, they were not left threatening to other people. I guess they were left threatening to himself. I don't think there was any charges or wherein he poses harm to anybody. And like my brother said, looking at the political situation between the current president and the soon-to-be former president, if that guy had been left without being pardoned by his dad, it was going to be another ball game. So I think we're just putting on the part of the old man to pardon his son, so that he can have one, a son to look up to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you too. Let me just hear from Councilor Freeman. What do you think, President Joe Biden pardoning his son? You heard from Bishop Hagar and Mr. Woods. Seems like it was
I think Bishop Hagar hit the hammer on the nail, right? Show me anyone who isn't going to do what President Biden did. particularly under the circumstances, right, where you have former President Trump, soon to be incoming president, made his intentions clear. In fact, if Trump had his will, he would even send Joe Biden himself to prison. So make no mistake, I'm sure had I been in the same position of Joe Biden, more likely would have done the same thing. And that can be said for most people, right? Our first obligation is to our family, particularly our children. So I'm not going to sit here and fault President Biden for what he did. But moving that aside a little bit, strictly as a matter of law, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the U.S. Constitution provides the president the authority to grant pardons and reprieves, except in one circumstance, when someone has been impeached, the president cannot pardon that person. But in this case, a crime against the United States of America, the president has the sole authority to grant pardons and reprieves. And that's exactly what Joe Biden did here. He used his presidential authority pursuant to the Constitution, and he pardoned his son. I would have done the same thing. More likely, you would have done the same thing. To me, that case is settled as a matter of law. There are Supreme Court precedents on that case where the president has the ability to do so. We all know that oftentimes when the president is having his last day in office, he grants pardon. Now, if your son is going to be facing years in prison under a man's administration who has expressed his willingness to, get people that are supportive of him out and people who he claimed to be against him to ensure that those people bear the full weight of the law, I would have done exactly what Joe Biden did. I don't think I should for that.
Thank you very much. Let me come back to you, Bishop Hager, because you brought the issue of morality up, and in the past, President Biden has vowed to not interfere with the law, and we know Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to that case, and now he's interfering with the law. So how do you align morality with that? He has said that he will not pardon his son in the past, and today we see him doing the exact opposite. You talk about morality. How do you align that with morality, Bishop Hager?
Well, I will use a biblical context. The Bible says the path of the righteous get brighter day after day. So when he made that statement that I would not pardon, all of the indicators or the variable for that case was not yet totally concluded. Now that he has all the facts, he has the right to change his mind. Listen, because he said, I will not interfere. This Joe Biden is on record of upholding the law. And it's something that the Democratic Party always have done. They want to be the moral guardian of America. While the other people on the other side, they are disobeying all norms of morality, but they still receive the political power. So we need to understand that in this country, America, in this country, you have to talk about your constituent, your interest first, because the other people are not going. They think they're going to consider and give you all of the what I would call the privilege. No. So you want Joe Biden to leave power? It will be immoral, wicked, and evil while he's president and his son remain president for 10 years in harsh planetary conditions. What is the morality in that? You are president and then your son remain in prison for 10 years. How does that sound to you? You have a daughter, you can do that? It will never happen. Anything you have to do to take care of your daughter, you will do it. And I congratulate him for that. I don't want to say any more about that. But he was very morally right to have compassion for his son. If I would do it, I would do it 10 times over. Me, I would do it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hager. Mr. Boda, can you hear me? Can you guys ask Mr. Boda? Maybe it's just me. He's not hearing at all.
Mr. Boda, you can hear me? No, he can't hear you. Okay.
I think he's muted.
He had to work on his audio. But let me come to you, Mr. Woods. What does it mean for the Democratic Party, though? Because the president breaking his words, I mean, you heard Bishop Hager talking about it from a moral point of view. What does that mean for the Democratic Party?
Well, you see, there is one key word that Mr. President Biden used: never. That word never, we say it belongs to God. Whenever we use that word, I will never do this, that's when God can prove himself that he's God. Never belongs to him and not to you, not to us as men. So I think what God did here was, when he used the word never, he put him into a situation where he had to get tested. Like the bishop said, you said to the word, I will not interfere with the law. But when he used the word never, I mean, God had to try him. So that's why he was challenged with the situation of making a decision between life and death. Because for sure he have just said, oh, let me just uphold the law. We'll be saying, what kind of man is this man? You will sacrifice your son for as minor things as what he did. You know, I mean, his legacy are going to be in Rome. I don't think any normal human being in the dispensation can look at President Biden and say what he did to pardon his son was wrong. Most especially where his son, he didn't take the life of somebody and he didn't go on it, you know, above and beyond in violation of the law. His violations were considered as minor offenses into our society today.
Thank you. I'll come to you, Councilor Fumo, with this question, because you said, even me in the same position, what father I know or we know that will not make the same decision? Now, I want to ask you this question from the point of view of the American people who just kind of came from elections, that most people believe that the Democratic Party do not care about them, about their well-being, given the prices of things, how hard things are in the U.S. And now they are seeing this, the president using his presidential power to pardon his son, who pleaded guilty on those things he was charged for. And he's using his power to kind of help him out of that situation. How do you think the president and the Democratic Party can argue or to counter that argument?
Look, the bishop said, look, I think context matters, right? I understand that everyone seemed to agree that President Biden said he will not interfere with the law. And I think thus far we can all agree that to a larger extent he has not interfered with the law. But context does matter. This is something involving, I think this guy might be his only son, if I'm not mistaken, right? His only surviving son now. I mean, man, who in that situation is not ready going to?
No, I get it though.
As far as the American people, look, the incoming president, President Trump, right, has done things that most people look at and say they're repugnant, right? Most people will not accept some of the things he has done, and yet he's been re-elected president. So the American people, I think to a large extent, they are forgiving type of people. If Biden needs to be forgiven, make no mistake, they're going to do that. But I think it's important to also point out that most Americans, in spite of the economic situation we see ongoing in the country, most American fathers, mothers alike would agree that had it been the situation of Joe Biden, they themselves would probably done the same thing. I mean, I'm one of the firm, strictest person that I know. And I'm telling you now that if any one of my daughters are in that situation, you bet I'm going to intervene, particularly since the law allows me to do so. Let's keep in mind, Joe Biden did not violate any law. The Constitution is very clear on its face. The black letter law is clear. The president has the authority to grant pardon and reprieves regarding crimes against the United States. Now, let me give an example. If Hunter Biden had been accused of a state crime and pled guilty to a state crime, say in the state of Massachusetts or in the state of Delaware, his father's state of Delaware, and he had pled guilty in Delaware state, for example, there is nothing Joe Biden could have done about that because that's a state crime. That's something that is left to the state to decide. The state governor could have probably granted him pardon or reprieve, but this is a crime against the United States, and the Constitution gives the president the sole authority to grant pardons and reprieve. And that's exactly what Joe Biden did. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, just quickly, will you say that looking at this situation, will you say that President Joe Biden lied to the American people?
I think that's far-fetched. I think that's a leap that I won't take. Look, Joe Biden said that he would not violate the law, and I'm paraphrasing what he may have said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is,
for Britain, he said he would not interfere with his case. He would not pardon his son.
He would not pardon his son?
He would not pardon his son. Look at the article.
Look, context matters, Mr. Biden.
So you wouldn't say that he lied to the American people, given that he said he wouldn't pardon his son, and now he did pardon his son.
I think the better half of him took over, and the fact that he's a father that took over, I'm not going to go as far as saying that he lied to the American people. He made a decision under the circumstances to grant his son the pardon. Maybe he thought then that perhaps Trump would not have won the election, but now you got a man who is bent on, if you will, enforcing whatever that conviction meant against Hunter Biden. I would have done the same thing as exactly what Joe Biden did in this case.
Thank you. Let me just two more questions. And Bishop Haggard, still on this President Biden. You know, you're a man of high moral standards. You represent the church. And I'll ask you this question. A person says that they won't do this now, and then later on, they go exactly and turn back on their words and do exactly that. Now, Councilor Freeman said, I think it's a leap to say President Biden lied to the American people. Would you say the same? And also, given how tough you are on leaders in Liberia, especially the past administration, just bringing this to Liberia. If a president, or let's say President George Barnett Weah, was to use his presidential power to make his son make his son or daughter get away from a crime, would you be taking the same position as you are right now? You're on mute.
Derek, I said to you earlier, and I stand by my word. Proverbs 4 verse 18 says, the path of the righteous get better. When President Joe Biden made that statement, I clearly he was in Europe when this trial was going on. What I understood to mean is that he was going to at least use the presidential power to stop the proceeding, but he did not interfere with the process. Joe, he was sentenced for 10 years. I mean, they were waiting for that period. So now, understanding the nature of the case, a political case, he decided that he has a law, he has a power with him, and he got to do it by pardoning his son. And I applaud him for that. Do you know what people are going to say if Joe Biden leave office and left his son in prison?
Bishop Hager, I'm sorry to interrupt. You've already said this. I want you to address the question. Do you think President Joe Biden lied to the American people? Because he said that he would not pardon his son, and he just did pardon his son. From your vantage point, you represent the church. You talk about morality. You're men of high moral standards. Do you think President Biden lied to the American people? And also, if this was former President George Barnett, we are doing the same thing for his child in Liberia, will your position be the same? That's what I'm asking you.
On the first question, I do not think that President Joe Biden lied to the American people. What I would say, he made a mistake by speaking prematurely. So he was speaking from a premature position. Now that he have come to the level he understands everything, he have to address it properly by pardoning his son. Now you talk about President, if it happened in Liberia with George Barnett Weah. What George Barnett Weah, as a president, if the Constitution permit him to pardon people, he did pardon a lot of people who were in prison, even family members before he left office. That's his priority. That's what the Constitution gave him. I never said anything. I would not condemn him.
But just yesterday, though, this seems like
I'm saying that the counselor just said to you, the
I don't want to prolong this conversation.
It's not a violation of the Constitution.
It is not a violation, but
the president is given the right to do it.
I'm just looking back at yesterday, though. You criticized President Joe Weah for showing out for his family when he went to the Walk Up to see his son playing.
That's a two different context.
I understand that. Let's go to the
let's talk some serious things. For the 2 days, Liberian people money went there and lavished the Liberian people money. Is that why you want me to employ him? That was exercising in public mismanagement. And I said it publicly that this guy was so incompetent.
Thank you, Bishop Hager. Mr. Boda, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You're very low, so if you can speak a little louder, I appreciate it. You can just weigh in on this, and then we can move on to our next. I will ask Mr. Wood our final question, and then we can move on to our next conversation. President Biden telling the American people he would not pardon his son, eventually end up pardoning his son. Bishop Hager said he don't think he lied. He spoke prematurely. Councilor Freeman said to say he lied is actually a leap. So let me hear from you. What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, you have to look at the context and the environment, the political environment that we found ourselves in America at the time.
You're very low.
I don't know why I'm still low. I'm trying.
You're gonna have to speak a little louder.
I am speaking louder. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you guys hear Mr. Boda?
Yeah, we hear you better now. Better.
Yes. All right.
So what I was saying is that President Biden, I think at the time he was speaking in the environment, in the political environment of a normal political environment in America.
To lie to the American people?
No. I'm not going to go there to lie to the American people. I'm giving you context. Mr. Biden said he was not going to interfere with the process, the judicial process. He let it play out. The process went through. He will have hold that case or put the hands into it and do whatever he could do in the Justice Department to manipulate that case, but he didn't. On the basis that he wanted to have a fair judicial trial, and that trial was over, and his son was found guilty of a crime. And being a president has a immunity power to free anybody. It doesn't have to be his son. Anybody for that matter. So not because he applied to his son, so he lied to anybody. He doesn't lie to anybody. So if you say you are not going to pardon his son, and every day you hear from the president-elect how he's going to go after this family to persecute them, so he has to create some sort of shield around his family and think it's normal to do so as a family because you got to protect yourself. So I don't think he lied to the American people. I think people are disappointed in the political process because he's also created a situation that will just give Mr. Trump another Trump card to use to his advantage during the political era we find ourselves.
Thank you.
That's what people are speaking to.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bullard. Let me just get the final contribution on this, Mr. Woods. You've heard from our other panelists, or if you can weigh in on it, and also just out of curiosity, is it possible to lie and still do the right thing, but at least admit to the American people that you did not tell them the truth? Like, is it possible, or is it? Like Councilor Freeman said, or Rich, to say we understand he did the right thing that any other president put in that position would do. But is it possible that he told a lie and did the right thing for his family? Mr. Wood.
No, let's look at it this way. Was he asked, if your son is found guilty, are you going to pardon him? Was that a question the media or the journalist asked him before he made a statement that I will not interfere with the law? If not, then I think what he was saying is that as long as the case is in process, as long as the case is being in court, I am not going to interfere. But now that the case was finalized, judgment passed that his son will go to jail for 10 years. I really didn't follow the scenario. But if that was the case, now the case, they could have found him guilty. The father never interfered. Now the case is now on the father's lap. So now the father has the right now to use the power he had that the American people gave him to pardon anybody in his son's shoes. Anyone that went against the law of the United States of America in his son's shoes. So if he could pardon any other person and his son is within that situation, I mean, there is nothing wrong he did. I don't think he lied. If he was not guilty, I mean, the case was not judged before he made that statement.
Thank you very much, guys, for your contribution on this topic. Now let's move on to what's present in Liberia. Let's talk about the unfortunate passing of the senator from Nema County, Senator Prince Johnson. The people of Nema County has been mourning the loss of their son, the senator father, and on the other hand, some Liberians, if I would say most Liberians, have been in celebratory mode. So it has created a lot of controversy. There are other issues surrounding that. We've seen press conferences from different government officials put out allegations, and all of you, I'm sure you guys have been following what's happening in Liberia. So first of all, President and former Senator Prince Johnson passing, unfortunate passing. Let me get your initial reaction before we get into the surrounding controversy. I would like to start with you, Mr. Boda.
Well, first of all, my send our condolences to the Liberian people and the people of Nema County. Mr. Johnson have been a controversial person in the Republic of Liberia for also a career as a politician and a military person. And there will be a lot of hard feelings, and there'll be mixed feeling in the community, in our Liberian community. And Mr. Johnson has become a key political player in Liberia, and his death, if you look at the scenario surrounding the TLC and the tribunal that's supposed to be set up, he's one of those persons that was being looked at in terms of facing that tribunal. I mean, going there to testify or to face what you might call reconciliation and so forth. So now that he has passed, and people who wanted some retribution on him in regards to what happened in the civil crisis, the role play in the civil crisis, are kind of hurt. And you cannot reverse death. Death is inevitable for everyone else here. Today will die. No matter how you think about it, whether you like it or not, it's the sting upon our life to die and to be born and to die. So his time has come. So people being angry, yeah, I mean, it has to be. Some people be angry, some people are sad. And the people of Nema County, that's the hero of Nema County. He stood for them during the darker days in Liberia. We all understood during before the Dole regime, a lot happened in Nema County and in Liberia generally. And then when the civil crisis occurred, I mean, we saw what happened. Well, the role Prince Johnson played within that bureau and what he did to people, and he killed a lot of permanent Liberians. And then also he was one of those who, captured President Dole and having killed. So there's a lot going on in the community, and a lot of people got some mixed feeling, like mixed bags going on.
Thank you.
Expect to see what happening around here.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. Let's hear from you, Bishop Haggard, the unfortunate passing of the senator from Nema County.
If you will allow me, as a moderator, I think this is an appropriate time that I will read the letter that I sent to the Front Page Africa, the call for unity, why national reconciliation in Liberia is the only hope. And I have it published. The recent passing of Senator Prince Yomi Johnson of Nema County has sent shockwave to all Liberia, leaving many to mourn the loss of a prominent leader while others were celebrating his death. However, in the face of this tragedy or celebration, we are also presented with an opportunity for growth, for healing, and reconciliation. The Guild, the Mano, and the Kra ethnic group, who have historically been at odds, can come together in this movement to forge a new path towards and to build a mutual understanding, respect, and forgiveness. I learned something while I was in the Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast people have something they taught me. They say, when someone died, all their evil die with them. You don't say bad thing about their body. And that's a tradition they have, and I believe it is an African tradition in our villages. When somebody died, everybody come together and they give the person the proper burial. That's what we know. For someone to celebrate someone death, to be dancing, the person died and sing all the other things. And I know the war brought a lot of hurt. And for me, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to mention some of those things, but in a time of war, bad things happen. And Liberian people need to understand that war, when you say wartime, bad things happen. Right now, we are talking about almost 50,000 people dead in Gaza. People are dying. In Ukraine, people are dying. Liberia war, unfortunately, so many innocent lives, and Prince Johnson contributed towards some of those innocent lives. We cannot bring them back. All we can say to those who are hurt, we are sorry. But going back to talk about these things, open new wounds, will not help the country. It will never help the country. The crime and the guilt, they are historically family. There are more crime people in Nimba than in Grand GDS. In fact, Lower Nimba, Tapeta, all the area. People gotta live together. I get stories upon stories. What happened in the war? My wife, your father was killed. Mr. David Doyen was killed in the war. So war is not a good thing, but if we are going to dwell on that and say because Prince Johnson did this, Prince Johnson people also have the story about people being massacred in Nima, children being taken, and Prince Johnson was the only hope. So for the Nima people, he's a hero. So we shouldn't disconnect them, because I saw from your introduction, the only thing he mentioned about Prince Johnson was he killed the former president. Why didn't you say he rescued so many people in Nima? Why couldn't you say that? You have to be balanced in your approach. Prince Johnson, yes, though died and was sad, but Prince Johnson also rescued a lot of people who were on the verge of being killed. So right now, for me, please, Liberian people, I know bad things happen. We can't go back. We can't resurrect the people. Let it go and let move on to the path of reconciliation and peace. That's my info.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hagar. We addressed what you said after I hear from other panelists. Well, Councilor Freeman, talk to us on the unfortunate passing of the former senator from Nima County.
Look, I heard exactly what the bishop said, and I'm inclined to agree with you to an extent. It is unfortunate that Senator Prince Johnson died before he had his day in court. I'm not going to sit back here and say, let bygone be bygone, because reconciliation is not the absence of accountability. You cannot just advocate for a blanket reconciliation and basically ask people who were victimized to, let things go. That's not how it works. Senator Johnson should have had his day in court. Just like some of the ones who are still alive today, they should have the day in court. My concern, and I've had this for a long time, is that we are going to drag the issue of accountability in Liberia onto each one of these men who perpetrated great evil. And this is not about Nimba or crime or Bassa or whatever you want to call it. This is evil that was perpetrated against the Liberian people by men who have thousands of people around them. And so they use that as instrumentality to carry great harm against innocent people. Yeah, I get it. Prince Johnson one might look at him as a freedom fighter, and I'm not going to belittle that. But the fact is, he should have had his day in court, and that's shame on the Liberian government and the Liberian government, past and present, for not taking the issue of a war crimes court or any form of court so that these people can have the day in court, for not taking that seriously. Shame on them. Because now the victims are never going to seek real redress. And Johnson is gone. But there are those who are still alive. Maybe this is a wake-up call that is appointed to men to die one day. And if they don't take care, each one of these men will die, and their victims will not have an opportunity to seek real redress in court. So that's all I have to say on that. I don't want to talk about the morality of not talking ill about the dead. I'm in no position to speak ill about Mr. Johnson. But the fact of the matter is, he committed serious crimes in the country, just like the late President Doe did and his men, just like the George Bulley and the rest of them that did. And they should be held accountable. They should be held accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's hear from you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Wood, give us your take.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to issue this disclaimer. I had some personal relationship with the late senator. Between 2008 and 2010, we were neighbors. And one Sunday morning, and many other Sunday morning, he will walk to my house. I don't really remember visiting him at his house because it's just a path between his house and my house. But he always visited me almost every Sunday morning. And even if I'm not in town, I'm out of town, he would give me a call to check on me to see how I was doing. So his kids were like my kids, and my kids were like his kids. So I had a very good experience with him in those 2 years before I came to the United States. But the situation of people jubilating, whenever any of these people die, you can't change it. And you can't stop people from rejoicing because our government, like the councillor said, have not played justice in Liberia. Politicians, so to speak, have not, because they use this situation to keep the people apart, to keep us divided. They don't want to see the Liberian people united. Because when we get united, they will not have the opportunity to manipulate us and use us. So they find it expedient to keep us apart, keep the crown people on one side, keep the other people on the other side, and always have that situation where they can manipulate us. I want to first of all recognize Mr. Samuel K. Doe Jr., who took upon himself, he and his mother walked to Prince Johnson indirectly, and they were able to make peace, to say, Mr. Johnson, you killed our husband, you killed our father, but we forgave you. This was one of the biggest. Politicians had never, ever made it an issue. They have not publicized this because they know that when these things happen, they will not be able to manipulate us. And I'm saying this to say, Mr. Doe, Samuel K. Doe Jr., and I want to use this opportunity to urge Mr. Prince Johnson or Senator Prince Johnson family, especially his sons, to take the lead to do what Mr. Doe did. Because if we don't reconcile, if we don't make peace with people that we hate, and if our family cannot do it, we will always remain divided. So people after Prince Johnson, when they die, people will celebrate because government have not made good national unification. I thought this year, having President Boykai, having a first unification day in May of this year would have blown this off to say, hey, the Liberian people, let's see how we can reconcile these people. While we're talking about war and economic crime court, the government has a responsibility to try to unite these people. but they find it as an opportunity to keep us apart. So people will rejoice whenever these people die, and you can't blame them. Because when we talk about Prince Johnson save the people of Nima County, then people ask, how? When the war came, Prince Johnson ran from Aracos or through Nima, boom, straight to Kawe. He was not in Nima. The people in Nima were surviving on a child stealer. They were not really a threat to child stealer, or child stealer was not really a threat to them. But who fell victim are those that was in Bon Mines, Bon County, and the greater Monrovia area where Prince Johnson was. They are the ones. So you see how compound complex this thing is? So government has a huge responsibility besides what we call the TRC and what have you. So my sympathy goes to the family because they are my family. I had a very good experience with them. I regret his death. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wood. Let me come to you, Bishop Hager. I have a question for you, but I will first say this: it's not normal for a person to die and then another person, a group of people, celebrate. Now, when you give your view, your position on this, it seems like you're playing down why these people are celebrating. Outside of Prince Johnson being who he is, like if you Google Prince Johnson today, a senator from Nima County or warlord who killed President Doe. So that's not what I think. That's what the world thinks of Prince Johnson. The only people that know Prince Johnson to be a hero are the people from Nima County, and rightly so, they have their reasons. Now, also, everything that he did, Prince Johnson has a family and who he mean a whole lot to. So we have to show respect for them. But on the other hand, the people that are celebrating the passing of Prince Johnson, there's a reason why they're celebrating. Like Councilor Freeman said, maybe because of all of the atrocity he committed in Liberia, he never get to sit in court to answer for none of those things. Now, I'll share this testimonial I read on social media on some of the people that are celebrating the passing of Prince Johnson. Someone said, for burden, this man killed my mother. This man beat my mother in front of me. Killed my mother. She didn't get to have a grave today. And Prince Johnson will have a state funeral on taxpayer money. Now, when Bishop Hager, when you talk about these things, you almost make it seem like, oh, these people, we can't bring them back. Bad things happen during the war. You always make it seem as though like nothing happened. These people, most of them haven't even recovered from what they experienced or what they saw happen in front of them. And you tell them today that, oh, they happen. These people can come back to them. They can't come back to life. We can't bring them back. Let's just forgive. Let's just move on. Prince Johnson passed. The Bible says that the ways you pay for your sin is death. Prince Johnson literally paid for his sins. But what about the other war laws we have now? If we continue to speak like you were speaking, how are we going to hold them accountable? My question: we have an administration in place. The passing of Prince Johnson, Bishop Hager, how should this government take it? What steps should they be taking so that others that committed similar atrocity or more or less than Prince Johnson will not just pass and not face the day in court, and not give those people that experience those things in their face to the opportunity to finally heal from what happened? Bishop Hager, you're on mute.
Thank you. I'm not here to say those who lost their families, they don't have reason to feel sad. Every one of us, and I hear people, we all lost people in Liberia. Family members that were killed. Whether you were not from Nima or from Grand Jude, other tribes, based on your position in the society, some people accuse you. We all lost family members. We all lost family members. I'm not here because I hear people say, oh, you never had anybody killed. Who told you? Do you know our story? Do you know what happened to us in the war? The second thing I want to say here is that I'm a student of history. If you're going to look at after World War II, how long it took before they set up the trial to persecute all those who were on the German with Hitler. It took so many years. Even today, many of those guys who fought, I think recently they found one in Argentina, and he was for 100 years. After they arrested him, they discovered him. It never took long, he died. The due process takes time. I know people want things to happen right immediately. And I also want to let Liberian people know we are not different from what happened in other countries. We are not different. The war crime takes time. It involves a lot of processes. So let's continue to prevail on the institution and let them resources to allocate resources. It requires money for evidence gathering. It requires money to have competent lawyers and judges. Mr. Philip, you know how many judges in Liberia? Do you know how many courts in Liberia right now that don't have judges? These are issues that we need to talk about. Overall, for us as peacemakers, whatever institution, we will prevail on the people to submit to the institution. But in the process, where the institution have not been established, because one time Tom Kamara wrote an article that I still have today. He was one of the best journalists. He said, what Liberia need? He put the two sides, the word he used was retributive justice or reconciliation. It's a whole book that he wrote. And I believe the way forward that we borrow was what the ANC and the apartheid regime in South Africa decided to do. If you are, Councillor, I'll be wrong, but all the apartheid government officials that persecuted or did evil, when they admitted that they did wrong, they were never persecuted. They were given clemency and they were allowed to live in the society, even though they killed so many thousands of black people. So Liberia, when we went for the peace accord in Akasomo, we said peace and reconciliation. We did not say peace and punishment. We said reconciliation. That's what we said.
Thank you, Bishop Hagar. Let me come to you, Mr. Boda. You listened to Bishop Hagar and the other panelists. Now we're still on this unfortunate passing and all of the surrounding controversy of the unfortunate passing of former Senator Prince Johnson. Now, how should the government of Liberia take this? Like, what steps they should be taking, or now that the former senator who's known to the outside world as a warlord who killed former President Samuel Kayando and did a lot of bad things in Liberia? How should the government handle this this news or this development of the unfortunate passing of the former senator?
Well, unfortunately, the government cannot do anything. What I mean by that is that Mr. Johnson was a sitting senator. He was duly elected by his people. He worked for the Liberian people, Liberian government, the people of Nimagade as a sitting senator. He's been accused of war crime. So he has a day, he's supposed to have a day in court or in the process of the due process to either being found what he said, or it is true or it's not true. So that cannot stop the Liberian government from burying him, giving him due honor as a sitting senator. That's the unfortunate thing to the process. Like the councillor said, we have delayed a lot of things in Liberia that we will face the consequence in denial. And when we talk about reconciliation, it's funny to note that we're just looking at one side. Let's go back 1980. There were families that were executed on the pole for raping corruption. If you remember, people were here on the pole. They had no due process of justice. People were killed on the pole in Liberia. And we were jubilating. Are we forgetting that these people also need reconciliation? Are we forgetting that these people also need to be consoled in the country? So there are a lot that we just playing around with that. We're just talking about 1990 and 19 this and 19 that. But when you look at our history and see the evil we have done to ourselves in our country, and yet we just look at one group of people and think that it was better for these people and these people were nothing. You know, we have to be careful. If you look back and look at our brothers and sisters that were slaughtered on the pole, William Todd was killed for what? Corruption. That man lying poor blood at the JFK hospital and no grave to show for his family. And those guys that were serving the Liberian people were killed in BDC, no grave to show. They grabbed out there and dumped it in a hole. And that was not being mentioned in throughout the entire reconciliation we're talking about. So what kind of reconciliation are we talking about? Is it because it's an ethnic group of people because the crime and the guilt is just a reconciliation we want to talk about? Or because people were slaughtering each other in the street for hatred, personal hatred? There's a lot that we have to unpack here and see as a Liberian and look beyond just 1990. You know, so let's be mindful about the reconciliation. Liberian needs to start thinking how we can really truly reconcile our differences instead of keep going backward and wanting retribution for this, for that.
How do you just going off of your last statement? How do you think we can truly reconcile our differences as Liberians?
I think we need to have a national conference that will address all of the parties, all of our events that are happening in Liberia.
What about those people that you just
conference that we can have and sit at that conference and have all of the parties that Liberians that were involved, whether it be in Native Congo, wherever category you find yourself at a given time, that we can
yes. What about
what happened.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What about those people that you just talked about? There are a lot of bad things in Liberia. Those that are alive, and we can't do nothing about those that are dead. But those people that you said there are a lot of bad things in Liberia. How do they play in your plan or your idea of reconciliation?
So that's why people have to go to the conference and admit and say, hey, I did this, I apologize, open it so that you can confess your sin. Because no matter what we do, we're not going to change it. We just want some, what do you call it? We want some, I'm losing my word. We need some, what do you call it?
Well, Derek,
Yes. Let me. I will come to you. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you, Mr. Boda.
We all need closure in our various situation. So in order to have a closure, we need to have face-to-face a national conference that we as Liberians can have that closure with each other. It's not just the crime, the guilt, or the ordinary Liberian, but the event that took place in 1980. We have to address that as well. And then the event that took place after 1980 from 81, 82, 83 up to 1990. If you sit and look at what happened from 1980 to 1985 up to 1990, then from 1990 to now, there's a lot of things that we got to unpack.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Boda. Let's hear from you, Councilor Freeman.
Derek, while we are on this topic of reconciliation, we need to be mindful as a country. The culture of impunity in Liberia is robust. The culture of impunity in Liberia has become the norm. It's almost like the nomenclature of our society. So Mr. Bola talked about 1980. And then we talk about the fact that Samuel Doe came in and ordering the slaughter of an entire ethnic group in the country. And then that further precipitated the war. But don't you see the correlation that from the 1980 up to this point, all we have shown as a society is that we have no regard for the rule of law. It's a complete anarchy. And I see a correlation, a direct correlation to all of those tragic events, to this culture of corruption in the country where our justice system doesn't seem to have a grip on how to actually deal with the issue of corruption. Now, here's the thing. If we as a people cannot hold accountable individuals who have committed some of the most heinous crimes in our country, and instead we give them political offices and we put them on pedestals, and we can't even hold those people accountable, what makes you think we can hold someone who's still $1 million away from the country accountable? This is it. That's a direct correlation. People who've committed some of the most egregious crimes in society are not held accountable. On what basis are we going to hold corrupt officials accountable? They said, well, if you can't even prosecute the likes of Johnson and George Bullard and Butt Naked for committing mass murder, are you going to be able to hold accountable Samuel Twer for stealing a few $1 million or one of the other guys, for example? No. But the point I'm making is that we are now in a society, our society has degenerated into an abyss, one that we cannot find a way out. So much impunity in Liberia. And so, Bishop, I get what you're saying, but we have to, if we're not mindful as a society, or everyone around us begin to progress. Now we saw that Somalia, that also went to war almost during the same time frame, they're doing so much better. Sierra Leone, our neighbor, doing much better. These are societies that went to war, but they decided that they will hold people who are most responsible for their atrocities, to hold them accountable. And I think we need to rethink this idea of reconciliation. I'm not against reconciliation, but reconciliation is not the absence of accountability. It doesn't mean that we don't hold people accountable. We can still reconcile and still hold people accountable. Thank you.
If I will come in.
Yes, let's hear from Mr. Woods first, and I will come to you, Bishop Hagar.
Thank you, sir. Oh, look, like my brother Martin and the counselor have said, and I'm going to add my word to our situation. And reconciliation is very key, very, very key. And my view of Liberia for the past 44 years is the fact that we have found pleasure in dividing ourselves, bringing ourselves against ourselves. And at the end of the day, who benefit from our stupidity or our foolishness are the outsiders. And like the two speakers said, 1980, we're not looking at those that were hurt. We're not looking at those of us that are hurt right now. But that is the genesis of where we're coming from and where we are going to continue to be at each other's neck. And like I said, national government has a responsibility. But because politicians, our politicians in these few dispensations, find it profitable for them to keep us apart, that's why they will always step on unification. They will step on holding people accountable because they are benefiting. And because they realize that they believe that we are ignorant, and they have contributed so much to our ignorance to the point that they will be harming us and we are healing them. So it's just to their taste and to their advantage. But if we don't address that national unification, then we go to accountability. My brother, every day that people die, people will rejoice. And you can't hold them responsible because that's the only way they can express their relief. Oh, this man is dead, or this woman is dead. So until we get to that point, like we look at Senator Johnson today, he's going to get state funeral. You know how many people are disappointed by that? Their parents, their brothers, their sisters contributed so much to this country, and they were killed. They were treated like dogs. So where are we going as a nation? It's like we are giving into impunity. So until we can get to that point to say, hey, enough is enough, let's start to call. And I will also say this again. I will also, in this public manner, want to appreciate Mr. Samakanya Doe Jr., who was a child when his father was involved in the 1980s. This young man had gone above and beyond, had reached out to the family of those that was victimized in 1980 under his father's leadership. Those that were killed, those that were executed, have extended, gone to them to say, hey, I'm sorry for what my father did. Can you imagine that? So if we all were doing these things, Liberia will be making progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from you, Bishop Hager.
Well, thank you so much. Councillor, you raised some very important point, and when I listen to you carefully, I see your passion. But considering where we are as a nation right now, that we came from war, we have a very polarized nation. I mean, one time I met with Dr. Sawyer. He said our greater problem is we have not yet agreed as a people to form a nation. We have not yet agreed as a people to form a nation. That was a profound statement from Dr. Sawyer, because Liberia have always been polarized, either divided on ethnic or some level of division, Congo, Native. So we have not seen ourselves to say, okay, let all of us decide to say we are all Liberians, and let's make one rules for everybody. Because you will understand, Mr. Councillor, that even during the former regime, the system was tested. The guy that was removed from the Supreme Court, how do you call him?
Janet.
He went through all the legal process, and he went to ECOWAS in Abuja. ECOWAS mandated the government for the man to be reinstated and compensation being given to the man. Up to today, nothing happened. The government ignored that due process. They never did it. We have a country where the system is very weak. The institutions are very weak. People, if you are a lawyer here, if a nation is polarized and somebody get money, we say we want to have a due process. We go to court. The man get the best lawyer, look at the loophole in the law, even though the public opinion say the man is guilty, but because the man get a very smart lawyer, he can manage the system and he's set free, even though the people know that he's guilty. Now we have a problem. The public opinion already found him guilty, but the legal technicality set him free because we don't have strong institution. So how do we build this institution? How do we come to that place? That's why I always saying, and I will always say this, I totally agree with you, Councillor, but the point you are making, in my understanding, it will require for massive education of the Liberian people. It will require mobilization at all levels, because at this level where we are speaking, people, if you look in the parliament right now, you will find more than 35% of those people participated somewhere actively in the war. And their constituent, their district elected them. Will you tell them that there are no more senator or representative when there are people elected them? Will that promote reconciliation, could create political crisis if the people voted for him already? So we need to conscientize our people and let it be known that we all want a functional Liberia, and let's agree that anyone who participated in war, nobody should vote. In fact, they should not be qualified to run in the election. We don't have that system there yet. So we are in a quagmire right now. And for me, the only possible thing to at least help us to go to the next level is to talk about reconciliation. Because your points are very wonderful points. But I don't think the present condition where we are, those powerful and noble suggestions will be able to be implemented in our society today. That's where I want to say.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hager. Let me stay with you and ask you this question. I saw a Facebook post from one of the lawmakers, paying tribute to the passing senator. And from that post, Prince Johnson was a family man, very caring. And again, like we've said to other people, he's not. He's a horrible person. But I want to ask you a question based on the optics, because I saw a thread that asked a very unique, interesting question. I ask you that at the end, the optics to the outside world. Now, I know all of us here have seen the video of Prince Johnson giving order for former President Doe to be caught. It's a horrible video. We've seen that, and we've heard about the bad things he did to Liberian during the civil crisis, and we've heard stories of the people from NIBA saying how he's a hero and stuff like that. And we are at this point now where giving him a state funeral something is a slap in the face of those people that are actually traumatized by what he did to them and their loved ones. And others saying honor of the people of Nibab, or per the law in place for a sitting lawmaker, he should be given a state funeral. Now, my question to you, Bishop Hagar, based on the optics, do you think former Senator Prince Johnson should be given a state funeral? Why or why not?
Well, let me just say this quietly. I think it's important for me to say this. I actually left Liberia 1990 because of the fear I had about Prince Johnson, what he was doing across the bridge around Logantown. We were going to the Freeport, buying our thing, coming to sell. And if you see people selling things, you just assume that maybe those things were looted things, and innocent people. I saw 4 persons being shot in front of Logantown Cinema. Young people who died because they were assumed to have been looters. That traumatized me to leave Liberia because we have to survive. We have to go to the poor. We got to buy things. We got to sell. I'm not here saluting and say, "Oh, Prince Johnson did everything well." I also want to let you know, maybe you were very small, but because of Prince Johnson agreeing with ECOMA, ECOMA was able to launch. That day when ECOMA was coming in, Charles Taylor was launching Monrovia with bombardment. It was through Prince Johnson opening up to ECOMA for ECOMA to come in that at least some of us were able to survive from the Liberian War. So I would say Prince Johnson was bittersweet. To some level, we were afraid of him. He was causing a lot of disaster or tragedy. But his role he played also helped Liberia. Today we have ECOMA, and then the situation got stabilized. If Prince Johnson have not, I'm telling you, people, we were across the bridge. If Prince Johnson have not ECOMA, I think Chancellor are going to run over Monrovia. We know other were beyond the bridge there. Maybe Chancellor Paul is going to say we are all Prince Johnson sympathizers. We're all going to be killed. I don't know, but I'm very honest to tell you that one of the reasons why I left Liberia, because Prince Johnson was getting young people. You see them say they are looters, and things was very bad. And then he also opened up the door for ECOMA to come in. So for me, his road is complicated, but he did some bad things, he did some good things. Right now, they are going to have a state funeral. They cannot. There's no way in the world that they will not have state funeral for Prince Johnson. It have to happen because he died as a senator. He was never judged. So the government had to play that role to give him a funeral befitting a senator.
Well, then, let me ask Councilor Freeman. What, given the optics, I know the law in place, like Bishop Hagar already said, he dies a sitting lawmaker, and as such, he should get a state funeral. But given the optics, what do you think? Do you think he should be given a state funeral?
I know what I would have done had I been the president, but I'm not. So, look, the fact is, Senator Johnson didn't have his day in court. Under our law and our constitution, there is a presumption of innocence. That basically means that the accused is presumed innocent until he or she is proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Look, we can all sit here and say Prince Johnson did all these things, right? And rightly so. But in the eyes of the law, he is presumed innocent, which is why I said from the inception that he should have had his day in court, which is why I'm saying today that the ones who are still alive, they should have their day in court before they die as well. So Prince Johnson, I'm not going to take away from him. It's the prerogative of the government, the Senate. But I mean, if that's what they do, then of course he's entitled to it because no court have adjudged him guilty. He's presumed innocent.
Thank you. Mr. Boda, what do you think? Should Prince Johnson be given a state funeral or not?
He has to be given a state funeral. I mean, you can't take that away from him. We got no power to do so. I mean, you can get angry. I mean, you can have your opinion about it, which is your right as a Liberian and as a citizen, but like the council said, he has not had a due process yet. So, I'm sorry. I mean, he's gonna have a day in court, but there's no more court for Prince Johnson. He's going beyond that. Maybe you have I don't know, if the reconciliation come or whatever court want to come. But we are wasting a lot of time, and this thing will continue because I don't know who is alive now. All the architect of the war, all of the stakeholders are all gone. So far, I don't know who is left.
Thank you.
Correct to remember some of them. I don't know who is left. Charles is in the Hague. He's already sentenced in there, serving some term. Maybe the matter Eric Johnson said he was voting for, and both of them to go to court. I don't know if that will happen.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. What do you
Yes,
think?
sir.
Optics. You think Prince Johnson should be given a state funeral or not?
The fact of the matter here is he died as a sitting senator, but the solution to our problem, to have a better Liberia, to have a Liberia we can call a Liberia where Liberians can feel that they are citizens of Liberia, like the counselor said, we need to demand national unification. Those that are alive, that participated, they need to answer questions because this thing is so deep. We got 1980, 85, 89. Then we got the death of Harry Greaves. We got the death of William Tolbert Jr. We got the death now of Shea Todman Jr. I mean, Shea Todman. So who knows who next? You see? So it's still going. These guys were just killed 2-3 years ago. Till today, nobody is talking about how William Tolbert Jr. died, got killed. Nobody talking about how Todman got killed. Nobody talking about how Harry Greaves got killed. So we got a long way to go. Prince Johnson is gone. Now we're going to be talking about other people. So according to the law, he died as a sitting senator. He got to be buried as a sitting senator. But if you ask the Liberian people, was this guy a hero? No, he was never a hero. The Kingsman will say, yes, he fought for us, he defended us. Then other people start asking, but if that man fought for you, you are killing other people, and you all were also killing other people, harming other families. So look, the government, we need to call upon the government. Every Liberian need to call upon the government, and we really want to have a country called Liberia, where we want to have national unification. We want to have peace among ourselves, or to coexist as we were before. We need to take the stand of calling upon our government and demanding. But because of our ignorance, majority of the Liberian people are ignorant. We are just partial. We just look at one side. What benefit me? What suit me? What made me feel good today? I want Martin and all other persons to be, in agreement with me, so that I can feel satisfied. That's where Liberia is.
Thank you, Bishop Higai. Can you keep that within 30 seconds? Because I have a question for Mr.
My
Wood.
question I will ask the panelists tonight is, we just passed the budget of just a little over 831 million.
Bishop Higai, you changing my conversation.
No, I just want to ask, in the case of the priorities, what should be prioritized? Because I know I see the passion, but the process you are talking about require a lot of money. I don't think at this place, at the time in Liberia, with the economy that we have, we do have the resources for such initiative.
No, I want to disagree with you, Bishop. That should not be a conversation when it comes to healing, reconciliation, accountability. That should not be a question of our budget. It is about the political will to have these things done. I don't think we should dwell that on our budget. No, that's not our priority. The government priority has not been about having these things done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And maybe if the president cut down his spending, maybe we'll be able to afford that. But I have a question for you, Mr.
You just made a political
Mr. Wood.
Mr. Moderator, I will not sit on the show without be making a kind of political statement. You always alluding to things.
I have a question.
I'm going to rebuke you on that.
I will come to you, Bishop Hager. I will come to you, Bishop Hager. Mr. Wood, here's my question. The representative Yeke Koluba did a press conference today where he basically alleged that the president seems to the former senator died of heart attack because the president of Liberia abandoned him, having talked to him for a very long period of time. And then the senator from Masurado County, DeLon, also said that Prince Johnson, before he died, was passing through him to get information to the president. I know we saw him at the residence of the late senator, but we haven't. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking to the wrong place. I haven't seen an official statement from him on e-Marsham page extending condolence to the supporters and family of Prince Johnson. Now, I want you to talk about the president, his relationship with the former senator and how he's been handling things. Mr. Woods.
To be honest with you, I will not sugarcoat this. Liberian politician and Joseph Boakai being one, they are very deceptive. I will put all of them in a basket. They are not patriotic. They are not public servants. Every one of them are self-seekers of political power to benefit they and their families. That's exactly who every one of them are. So the situation with Senator Johnson and that of President Boakai, every one of us know. It is Prince Johnson that put the final touches together to make President Boakai president of the Republic of Liberia. So if President Boakai will come to power and Prince Johnson don't have the access, which I'm not supporting, because I would say these are the same old thing we were talking about. They said the 1980 the Tower government were corrupt. They were charged for nepotism. They were charged for this and that and what have you. But this is the same old thing. In fact, worse. We only heard, but for us in this generation, we've seen these things play before our eyes. And we all know that when President Boakai ascended to political power, the distance, the gap between he and Senator Johnson got very wide. And Senator Dillon is not lying. Senator Johnson himself said it. He could not have access to the president. So it's not a secret. So what the senator said is just the fact, So who knows? I mean, when you invested all these things, because we have been abused. All along, Senator Johnson in the past election have abused the Liberian people, took us back to where we came from, used his influence because of the population within his county to just get us a leader who we are not pleased with. Not the kind of leader, but because they say majority votes. So Nima County always abuse the Liberian people peace. We always have ill-prepared leaders that we don't want only because of Senator Johnson. So if he brought Joseph Boakai to power and Joseph Boakai betrayed him, there is no doubt about him being, a contributor to his death. Anybody can die from heart attack, disappointment, all that kind of thing. When I have access to you, I no longer can have access to you. I have to be passing through, messengers to get to you. I mean, it's not healthy at all. Let's be very frank. It's not healthy.
Thank you very much. I would like to come back to you, Bishop Vega, on this because, you can respond to Mr. Woods, but these type of accusations on the part of President Joseph Boakai, from his relationship with Ellen to that of the Hera Costa to people he have aligned with that of the CPP. So they were hearing the late Senator Prince Johnson. This is like never stops. And Yeke Koloba spoke of it, or Dillon kind of confirmed it in his press conference. What do you say to that, to a leader that has this reputation, and how he's been handling this entire passing of former Nima County Senator Bishop Hager?
I respect you very much. I respect Mr. Wu. A senator should not be talking business with the president. The conflict of interest there, totally. The executive and the legislature should not be meeting to discuss. This is not a friendship thing. You need to know you are educated, you're a host. You should go and do your research. Here in this country, it don't happen. Senator and executive, they have to have a balance, they have to have independent. So the president, why don't people say the truth? What Jeremiah Kunwe is a Suji of Prince Johnson is the vice president. The vice president meet all the time with the president. Why he said that he can't call his son and say this XYZ. Now when Joseph Boakai became president, everybody want to submit name of family members or who's supposed to be the opposition. They may have to run the country. He can't be meeting with everybody. At the time he met with people, yes. But at the time he had to run the country for everybody, Liberian people. So it is important that the president is the president for the entire Liberian people. I will not listen to whoever they call, say whatever they want to say. This thing must stop. The institution we're running. It's not because I will hear. You know how much I stand with Joseph Boakai. You know how much I supported Joseph Boakai. I never supported him because I want something for him. I did it because I felt he was the best person at this time. At a particular time, I was thinking that the councilor, the broom, how to call himself?
Conglo.
Well, because when I met with him here, he made a lot of sense. But when I went to Liberia, I came back and I said to you people, when I did my own research on the ground, everybody I talked to from the border to Moreover, only two names were coming up.
So you're supporting. You are supporting. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry, Bishop Hager.
I said I wanted George we had to lose power. So Joseph Boakai was the right person, and that's it.
I'm sorry. So you are literally on. You're supporting Victory FC. But let me ask you this question: when you say a senator should not be in close proximity to the president, or shouldn't be having discussions surrounding what Dillon alleged, does that rule only apply to the former senator, or does it apply to
everybody?
Other lawmakers like Dillon, the Tai Wongwe, or other senators that the president has been meeting with?
If you want to meet as a friend, as a different thing, your capacity as a senator, you're not supposed to have any contact. You know that Prince Johnson wasn't meeting him as a friend; he was meeting him as a senator. Is that what you're saying? Well, maybe he was trying to meet as a senator, not supposed to do it. So, senator not supposed to be meeting with the president.
Let's hear from you, Councilor Freeman. I'm sure you've been listening to Bishop Hager, and I'll come to you next, Mr. Boda.
I'm not going to opine on what the bishop said. I mean, that's his position, and I'm going to leave it as that. But I hope the Liberian people learn from everything we see unfolding. I noticed that I think sometime last year, President Boakai celebrated his birthday. It was a flamboyant one. I saw that recently he also celebrated another birthday, another flamboyant one. Now, all of this is happening in the backdrop of enormous hunger. Parents cannot put one-day meal on the table for the children to eat. They cannot afford to send their children to school. This president, who claimed that he understood the plight of the Liberian people, this president with over 40 years of experience, as they put it, he has consistently now in the last 2 years celebrated his birthday with such extravagancy. It's a shame. I don't care who wants to justify it with political statement. That is disgraceful. It is distasteful too. And Bouaga should be ashamed of himself. Now, they do it under the pretext that his foundation is funding it. But this is a foundation that could not fund his birthday during the last 6 years. So why is it suddenly that his foundation is having such flamboyant birthday parties for him? Well, let's speak truth when it really matters, you know? It's not about, this is not being political. This is not a political statement. It matters. The holiday is coming. There's so many families in that country. We're not going to put food on the table for the children to eat. The little kids are hawking the streets in Monrovia and other parts of the country, trying to fend for their adult family members. Because maybe the mom is in the market, the child has to go down the street to sell donuts too, because they can gather enough and put on the table. Why can't his cabinet members are having a feed day? So, you know, Bishop Hagar, if you have some proximity to the president, someone needs to tell him that he needs to rethink what he's doing. Because truth be told, some of our problems we have in Liberia today, including the war, is as a result of the disparity or economic disparity that was in the country. A segment of the population was having all of the access to everything, while a huge majority of the people were suffering and struggling. And we see that's still happening today. And that's a shame. That's all I have to say about, I don't want to talk about he and the senator thing. That's their business. They can deal with that. I'm talking strictly about the Liberian people and what his actions are having on them.
Thank you. That's a much better angle, to be honest. Mr. Boda, let me get your take, and then we'll take our final break and come back and ask you guys for your closing and draw the curtain to this one.
In terms of Prince Johnson's relationship to that of President Bouaga, well, I think Prince Johnson had enormous power and connections within the current government. It's disappointing for me to hear that Prince Johnson does not have access to the president when he's in the house of the president. So I don't know how that was happening, because this was a coalition government. Prince Johnson has the VP slot. So what more can he ask for? So that's just why I start right there.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. Guys, thank you for your contribution. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we will ask you guys to give your closing, and then we will draw the curtain to this episode. I will see you guys after the break.
Attention all organizations, NGOs, and social clubs in and out of Liberia. Are you tired of relying solely on social media to run your operations? An effective web platform is your most important marketing tool. And that's where Tiamat.com comes in. Hello, my Liberian people. My name is Sophia, and I want you to consider this. 53% of consumers do online research about an organization before talking to someone from that institution. That means not having a website could be costing you opportunities. Step up your game and establish a professional online presence. Introducing our web platform designed specifically for 501c organizations, small businesses, and political organizations, social clubs, etc. At Tiamat.com, we understand how important it is to make a great digital first impression, which is why we offer you all the help needed to develop, maintain, and host NGOs and small and big organization websites by giving you a full suite of services that includes automatic billing for members, membership and visitor portals, first-class design and functionality, and much more. The best part is, it only costs $20 per month. Upgrade your image today with our customized web design services. Visit www.tiamit.com to get started. This is a Liberian-owned business.
Maintaining your vehicle can be a major investment. That's why here at Brothers Auto Care, we pride ourselves on providing professional and reliable auto care at affordable rates. Whether you need an inspection, new brakes, or diagnostic reports, our skillful and experienced mechanics are here for you every step of the way. Call Brothers Auto Care now to schedule your next auto maintenance and repair service. At Brothers Auto Care, we help you drive home with peace of mind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are here watching episode 2, season 7 of The Hard Zone. If this is your first time joining us, and we are at the very end of the show today. We've had discussions surrounding issues here in the U.S. President Joe Biden pardoning his son, and we also spoke on the unfortunate passing of the senator from Nima County and the controversy surrounding that. It has been a very interesting conversation here, but we are at the very end, and we have one more item left, and that is the closing remark from our panelists. If you're watching us, this is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. We will be here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for a brand new episode of The Hard Zone. My name is Derek Yadi. I'm playing host, and now let's go to our panelists to give you their final words on this episode. Mr. Boda, I would like to start with you.
Thank you, Derek. It's important that Liberians across the globe and home, we need accountability and reconciliation. And those two work hands in hand. Let them not make any mistakes. The longer we ignore these problems that we have, the longer our situation will worsen up every day. And we shouldn't just sit back and always complain, And I want to lay this on those are all in the diaspora. I mean, we have the resources to be able to help our society, bringing our country together, reconciling our country. Because we are an integral part of that society that have a lot of influence. So I wanted to use our influence in the right directions to reconcile our country, to use our professional skills to navigate through our problem, not just being a critic of everything that happens in our society, So that is my advice to us and our brothers home as well. We need to think outside of our box. This business as usual has not helped us. What is there for me, it's just me, and myself, have killed us and it's continued to kill us and kill generations to come. So I ask that we can use some of the movement that we're talking about. Today is Prince Johnson. The host of situations that are happening that we talk at length tonight, we need to hold those situations very seriously and discuss them at a very sincere point where we're going to be truthful to each other and talk about this. Because there are a lot of hurt in our society. There are silent hurt. There are one that we know publicly. So many people that are hurt from these people's behavior, and our society are just getting impunity. So I pray that we can get together and use some of the movement to reconcile and have some accountability. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this show. So,
Thank you very much, Mr. Boda. Well, wait, I wasn't paying attention. Councilor Freeman, they say your comment on the president celebrating your birthday got a Bishop to run away. And I'm having my producer to call him to get close on the show today, but I can't.
Maybe the bishop has other obligation.
I'm just
Newcastle
reading the
11
comment.
freestyle on the old man. Old man gotta celebrate. Got a few more weeks.
Maybe the PG don't want to defend that, but let's get your closing word, Mr. Woods.
First of all, I want to say a big thank you to the management of this network for the contribution to Liberia. And I also want to extend a big thank you to all Liberian media institutions, online, in country, some supporting wrong, some supporting good, some speaking truth to power. We need more of these kind of initiatives. And I want to ask Liberian as a whole in the diaspora, we need to invest in Liberia. And what we need to invest in Liberia with is civics education. Because when our people get to know the duty and function of our president, the duty and function of our senators and representatives, will make a big contribution to that country to put all these trash behind us. But the reason why we are having all these challenges is because of gross ignorance. Gross ignorance. And the progressive, those that started all these situations, 1978 to today's date, they were clever, they were smart, they were very calculative to increase ignorance. 1980 to 82, 83, they cleverly removed civics education from the school system. So you see men and women, especially those of the past 3 generations, they are ignorant. They will see wrong and they'll be healing wrong. They see wrong, they'll be healing wrong. But if we can just invest into civics education in Liberia, all the problem will come behind us because people will get to understand the moral responsibility of our government officials. So I want to say thank you to this management, and we will do whatever we can do. Whenever we have the opportunity to be here, we will come and see in our own weak ways what we know. We will contribute it to the public, and then it might be part of the healing process, but we have to speak truth to power. President Boyka has a whole lot to do. I was somebody who supported him 2004 from the background that he and Ellen were 2 early statespeople that they would have run this country in 24 years time. We would have a better Liberia. But just within the 6-7 years, I got disappointed. I don't believe in them. They have caused more harm to Liberia. More harm to Liberia. More harm than ever any other government. Because the things we ran away from, they brought it back to us. No Liberian would have been supposed to get killed from 2005, and we cannot get it resolved. Harry Greaves got killed. There is no justice. The auditors, on and on and on. Who knows how many persons going to get killed in this government, and we cannot have closure. In addition to those that have been killed from 1980 to today's day. There is no sign of calling for national unification. So I challenge President Boyka, a church deacon, to see how he can concentrate on national unification. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Philip E.P. Walls II. As today was your debut episode. So thank you for joining us. It's an honor to have you. And I'm certain that this will not be your last episode. So we look forward to having more discussions with you on our features episodes.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Premier, you're last to give us a closer remark.
Derek, I'm going to keep this very brief. I'd like to take the untimely passing of Senator Johnson as a call of reflection on the Liberian people. Yes, Senator Johnson may be considered a hero for some, and there are others who look at him as the villain, and their feelings about him is justified. But I think what is more important than that is the fact that there are those who play a role in the war. I'm not talking about the foot soldiers. Some of those who bear some of the most responsibility in the war, right? If you look at the International Crime Court statute, it called for those who bear the most responsibility in a war, and genocide or torture. So same thing can be accorded to Liberia. But we should take time to reflect. Is this going to be our story after years of brutality that no one was held accountable? My call to the current administration is, what are you going to do about it? This should be a wake-up call that eventually we will all leave this world, but what we leave behind hopefully is our legacy. What legacy is President Bouaka hoping to leave behind? He has an opportunity, a unique opportunity. Now we can see firsthand from the passing of Prince Johnson, we can see firsthand that death is inevitable. It's going to happen one way or the other. We're all going to die. And what we do now is what matters. So if the Bouaka administration wants to focus more on reconciliation, then maybe that's it. But then be forthright about that. If you're saying you're going to form some form of war crime court or whatever other court you want to add to that, then do it in earnest and be sincere about it. But let's use this time of the senator passing as, the time of reflection. If we are going to hold people accountable, we need to do it sooner than later. Sooner than later. And that's something the Liberian people have the power to demand. They elected these men and women into office. They can demand it. They can call the senators. They can call the representative. People like Bishop Hagar, who may have some proximity to the president, can bring that to bear. But it has to be done. We can't have warlords just passing on and never had a day in court. And the victims have not had a chance to confront those that perpetrated evil against them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Freeman, for your contribution here today and on all of the other episodes that you have appeared on. And again, once again, thanks to you, Mr. Martin Bodan, Mr. Phillips, EP was the second, and to all of you that stay here, that join us today for this episode 2 of season 7. We will be back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So LRTN live on Facebook, or the Liberia Radio and Television Network on YouTube, and LRTN_231 on Instagram. That's the network to follow. We'll come back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time with more discussion. Until then, this is what we'd like to say thank you. Enjoy the curtain to this one, and wish you all a pleasant good evening.
I want picture of
I post for the photo, but I can't see myself in the photo. What happened to the photo? Now I can't see myself in the photo. The people that were laughing at the photo, now the people that I see shining in the photo. I post for the photo, but I can't see myself in the photo. What happened to the photo? Now I can't see myself in the photo. The people that were laughing at the photo, now the people that I see shining in the photo. Baby, what happened to the photo? What happened? How you ready to tell you all the photo? Now I can see myself in the photo. I was standing right down there in the photo, but now I can't even see my shadow in the photo. Where deep, blah in the photo. So shaka demon I see in the photo. They say your camera over door. They say your picture was not clear. If your picture will be all clear, now the reason why they went and took the picture different place. But now I see the person in the photo. Talking said I didn't want joy in the photo. Where were y'all when we were in the photo? Was it in the ring?